Hello everyone and welcome to this video for Cram the Exam, where we're going to have a look at another FCE or first exam question, and in this case we're going to have a look at the use of English part 4 question, the keyword transformation, a question that many people hate in the exam. But the good news is, with plenty of preparation, with great knowledge of vocabulary and grammar structures, you should find this a breeze. In other words, you should find it quite easy. Before we begin, let's have a look at let's remind ourselves of the basic rules. We've got to complete the second sentence with the keyword which is given to mean the same thing or a similar thing to what's being expressed in the example sentence. We can't change the word which is given, and we've got to use between 2 and 5 words, including the word which is given, and of course, as I said, that we can't change. Those are the rules. I'm sure you know them, but it's always worth going over them again, particularly the limit between 2 and 5 words. Okay, let's get to work. For question number 1, it says, because it snowed heavily during the night, the motorway is closed. Our keyword is due. So let's have a look at the language we don't have to worry about. We don't have to worry about the motorway is closed because it's mentioned here. And it's mentioned that there was heavy snow the night before. Let's highlight that there. So, and that covers this bit here. It snowed heavily during the night. So what we basically need to do is find a structure to replace because. And if we know the expression due to the fact, that means exactly the same as because. So the motorway is closed due to the fact that there was heavy snow the night before. Now, if that wasn't there, then we could just say the motorway is closed because there was heavy snow the night before in normal English, outside of this question. But we need this structure largely because we've got a that clause here. So if you're not familiar with this expression due to the fact that, then you can use that instead of because in your writing or in your oral exam. Okay, for question number 2, the sentence we're given says, did you manage to get in contact with the boss today? We're given our keyword, which is getting. So let's have a look at the language which we don't need to worry about. So we've got did you, which is over here. Hang on a second, it's moving up there. And then we've got in contact with the boss today. Let's highlight that, which is this bit here. So what we need to concentrate on is these 3 words there. We need to communicate the same message. And as a matter of fact, we've got a form of getting here. So really what we've got to do is think about vocabulary, which means the same as manage to. If you manage to, it means that you are able to do that thing. So we've got to think of vocabulary which means the same as being able to do something, but which would allow us to use this gerund, getting. Because we can see here that getting would go right in this space here. So getting in contact with the boss today. So we've got to think of something to go in this bit here. Now this is a tough question for FCE level, but the answer that we're looking for here is succeed in getting in touch. So did you succeed in getting in contact with the boss today? So we had to think of synonyms for manage, which is succeed, and we also have to bear in mind structures with gerunds. Here you can see manage is followed by an infinitive, whereas succeed is followed by a gerund. Okay, for question number 3, I don't care what you do. And what we've got here is similar language but not the same. So we need to find an expression beginning with as, which means the same as I don't care. Because this bit here, you can do what you like, covers that same sentiment. So what expression do we need? As far as I'm concerned, Well, we can't say as, because that's already in the text. So what we've got here is far as I'm concerned. And there we go, that's our answer. You can see here that I'm using the contracted form, and the contracted form is in the answer as well. What we've got to be careful of, however, is that a contracted form counts as 2 words. Not 1 word, 2 words. So don't think that if you use a contracted form, it is just 1 word. It's not, it's 2 words. The only contracted form which is counts as 1 word is cannot. Okay, let's have a look at question number 4. Now, the example sentence that we're given is, the meal we had in the restaurant was so nice. So, what language do we not need to worry about? Well, meal we don't have to worry about because it's here. In the restaurant we don't have to worry about because it's over here. So, the language that we need to focus on, well, there's 2 possible things. One was so nice, and we had. So we've got to think carefully about what's the focus of the sentence here. What's the most important thing that we need to focus on, given that we've got the keyword such? Can we use such in context with we had? Not really. Can we use such in the context of was so nice? Yes, we can. And so if we do that, we could say, it was such a nice meal in the restaurant. It was such a nice meal in the restaurant. Remember, of course, that we're talking and using the past forms, which is because we've got the past form in the example sentence, so we must have a past form in the answer. And there we have our answer. For question number 5, we've got our example sentence. Do you and your brother have the same looks? Nice and easy, this one. I don't think we need to go into too much of a complicated explanation about this one. We just have to simply say, does your brother look like you? And if we have a look at our answer, that's exactly what we've got. This is rather a clumsy way of saying, does your brother look like you? And so, even though this is an example sentence, I wouldn't recommend saying this in the oral exam or in the writing exam. It's rather clumsy. Everyone normally says, does your brother look like you? So, question number 5, a bit of an odd question, but let's move on to our last question, question number 6. That's the garage where I left my car last week. Now, we've got the keyword repaired. So the context here is that this is the garage where I left my car last week, so that it can be repaired. This is the context, because otherwise, if it's not, why would we be given this adjective or past participle as a key word? So let's concentrate on the language which we don't need. So that's where I went. Covers the garage where I guess it might cover some of this, if not all of it. And then last week is covered by that bit there. So what we need to focus on is somewhere this language here and some of this language here in the context of something being repaired. And if we think about that, we get the following answer. First of all, structure. After go, you're going to need a full infinitive. So, that's where I went. And then you need... so that's the first bit. We'll come back to that in a moment. And then we've got to think about what was repaired. Well, your car was repaired. So, my car repaired. But of course, that might get you 1 point out of the 2 because it doesn't make any sense, but a part of it is correct. I think my car repaired would get you 1 point by itself. But what we need here is a verb to complete the structure and give us our correct answer. And in this case, we would say to have my car repaired. And if we have a look at the answers, we can see that we've got a number of possible answers. We could either say to have my car repaired, to have the car repaired, to get the car repaired, to get my car repaired. So we've got get and have. Now, if you're not familiar with this aspect of grammar, this aspect of grammar is called to have something done. So if you're not familiar with this expression or this usage of grammar, to have something done, get onto Google. You'll find plenty of resources on there if you type in into Google to have something done, and you'll find out how to use that particular language structure. Okay, so these were the questions in the keyword transformation exercise. Kind of tricky for FCE level. So if you weren't familiar with any of the structures or the vocabulary that we looked at in this exercise, please make a note of them and commit them to memory. In other words, memorize them, remember them, because these are all expressions that you can use in your oral exam or in your writing exam to show a higher level of English. Now, if you agree with me, I'd love to hear from you. If you disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you as well. If you need any further explanations about any of the things that I looked at in this exercise, then please get in touch either through my website, cramleyexam.com, or leave a comment below this video. Okay, I'll see you again soon.